In this video, we'll cover how freight brokers actually get loads. Not just where to find prospects or the shippers that have them. We'll dig into the process and cover some of the tips that will help you get more loads and grow your brokerage. I'm Benjamin Kowalski with Freight 360, where we provide the latest transportation sales tips and training videos to help you reach your goals faster. If you're new here, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button to be notified of our weekly videos. And all of the links and details can be found in the description box below. For more free content, please be sure to check out our website, freight360.net, to access our entire library. How do freight brokers get loads? We are asked this question a lot. Because without loads, a freight broker is just a person sitting in front of a computer and a phone. Let's start by dispelling a common myth out there. There are no such things as load boards for freight brokers. As in DAT and Truckstop provide loads for carriers, there is not a similar marketplace or product for freight brokers. The most effective way to acquire loads is the old-fashioned way, by building relationships. And if you're looking for tips on how to find shippers and generate leads to contact, check out our video on how to find shippers. Now, the most common way freight brokers begin in their career is by doing a lot of lead generation and making a ton of cold calls. Because remember that a freight brokerage is much different than other types of sales out there. Because most shippers you'll be prospecting are already working with not one, but multiple brokers. And in other sales like automotive, mortgage, selling insurance, even selling real estate, every time you need to make a sale, you need to find another prospect to close. But in transportation, you're working to establish enough trust through the sales process for them to consider adding you to their roster. Not necessarily replace anyone. That's an advantage and it's a disadvantage. So first, the advantage. When you're working to either get more loads or your first load, the sale, right? It's not convincing someone to do anything they weren't already going to move forward with, right? They have a load, it needs moved, and somebody will move it. The only question is, who do they trust enough to get it moved at a fair rate on that specific day? Now, the advantage is that we only need them to trust us enough to give us a shot with one load at this point. We don't need them to take a risk by getting rid of any of their existing relationships. Just add us to them. We also don't need to convince them to purchase anything. We need them to believe that we will follow through with our commitment. Now, the second advantage is that once you've moved a load for a shipper, if you did a good job, that is, picked it up on time, delivered it on time, communicated properly and timely, you'll likely get access to others, and another, and so on, right? That's the best part about this industry. You don't need a new customer every time you need more loads to move. Now, you should be working to get more customers regardless, but it's not a one-to-one ratio like other industries. Now, the disadvantage. The disadvantage is that you'll need to build enough trust and then establish enough value for them to work with you in the first place. That's the biggest hurdle you'll need to overcome to get loads. Why should they work with you when they have other brokers with access to the same load boards? And that's exactly what you're going to hear on a prospecting call. So you need to prepare for that before you get on the phone with a few things. First, you should understand your value proposition as a brokerage. Do you specialize in the freight the prospect moves? Do you have a carrier base that is ideally located near their locations, their DCs, their receivers, where they pick up and deliver? Do you have drivers looking for backhauls out of their area? Are you selling on communication? Are you positioning yourself as having a fantastic follow-up and follow-through? Does another of your customers deliver loads to the same location? Now, this is by no means a comprehensive list, right? But it'll get your mind starting to think through some of the things that you could be positioning yourself to be. Now, what it should not be, right, is we can handle everything you need. We do everything from LTL to FTL to heavy haul, because even though this may be true, and it may have worked occasionally in the past, the truth is it's the most common approach out there that new brokers take when they're trying to get loads. They feel that since they're licensed and able to handle any type of freight, why not tell their customers that they can do anything, right? And that's a valid question. The reason the "we can be everything to everyone all the time" approach isn't really effective all that often is because even if you're at a large brokerage that does all of these things well at times, it doesn't make that prospect feel you are uniquely capable of handling their needs. There's a saying that I always think of when I think of this. It's jack of all trades, but master of none. You didn't differentiate yourself from the dozens of other calls they got this week. And that's the long and short of it. So a great tip, if you haven't determined what your competitive advantage is, especially if you're new enough that you don't have any customers yet, ask questions, lots of them. And based on what you're hearing, gear your advantage to a need the prospect expresses to you. Again, what's important to the prospect is where your energy should go. What's important to you won't matter to them at all. For more on sales, prospecting, and growing your freight brokerage, you can check out our website, freight360.net. You can find our entire library of content there. And if you're looking for a more hands-on approach, we offer ongoing and group training. You can find all the details through the link below. And remember, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right.